together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus and that's Nick. How you doing?
Hello, I'm Nick. I am doing great, my friend. I feel like we should be shaking hands without shirts on to be able to really do this movie justice. Guys, we are here to do a podcast about Marcus's challenge. No, that's not right. We are a challenge podcast. We challenge you. That's right.
We're a challenge podcast. We're the subsect of podcasts that exist. Challenge-based podcasts.
Yeah, everybody knows the challenge podcast subset, and that's us. And we're two best friends. We challenge each other this week. You know what? I'll start off by telling what last week was. If you missed it, last week is Black Phone, and that was a dope ass episode because it's a brand new movie, and it was a Patreon episode. Patreon.com/NowTryThisCast. You guys made us watch it, and we were glad we watched it.
Yeah, honestly, very happy we watched it.
Yeah, same. We made a great conversation. But today's not a Patreon episode. It is not your influences. The power has shifted to Marcus on the other side. And Marcus has decided to make us watch RRR.
Which stands for...
Oh, I got...
which stands for...
Riot, Revolt, Revolution?
Rise, Roar, Revolt. Very close. Very close. I'd give it to you.
Revolt.
If there were a
Rise,
points-based
Roar,
game.
All right. Well, speaking of points, if you guys come over to twitch.tv/NowTryThisCast every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we record this podcast live, then you can build up points by participating in the chat, and we will have prizes and cool stuff going on as soon as there's enough of you here to garner
100%.
points. So come on over.
Yeah, right now we would just be giving points to ourselves, which is great. Wait, hold on. I will say this. Thank you to the Twitch community, the people that do come out. I feel like Old Man Rom should get a shout out. Fooly Cooly Crim, like, Daron.
That Jamster dude comes by a lot. Listen, we have a lot of very fear God of death, a lot of wonderful people in our community, but I want more because I'm greedy, like the white people in this movie.
Yeah.
That's right. We are doing something different, Marcus, because we have never done this before. We are doing a movie from
India.
I was gonna say
you're going to be more specific.
I was. It's a Tollywood movie.
Tollywood.
But I was trying to say what area of the world Tollywood is, which is east.
You were so close,
Western
man.
Asia, Southern Asia. What do you say?
Funny? If
South
you
Asia,
try
South
this
Asia,
at all,
right? Southern. I was right. South
Asia,
South India, South India. Isn't South India South Asia? You know what? I'm gonna stop talking because I'm already doing a bad job, guys. I'm gonna say a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
We are not experts. My girlfriend's in the chat and she spent time in India. I'm sure she's going to roast me this whole time. We will try our best. If we do anything wrong, please let us know at Now Try This Cast. We would love to be corrected and know the error of our ways for all the insensitive things we're about to say.
Yes. And also specifically, you mentioned it's a Tollywood film, right? Which means it's from this region. They're trying to have their own sort of like cinema over there as well to compete with the sort of like Bollywood. It's very interesting.
Specifically, it's a Telugu
yes.
language where Bollywood's Hindi, I believe.
Yes.
Though, Marcus, did you watch this movie? Did you see this in theaters and see the native language, or did you watch it on Netflix, which was already converted to Hindi?
I watched the Hindi Netflix version.
So did I. I really, really wish I could have heard the original.
Same, yeah, because you could tell that it was dubbed.
Yeah, but it was a wonderful dub.
Yes.
And the actors dubbing were great, but I just wish I could have heard the original people.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's always fun to watch language,
100%.
movies in original language.
Yeah. But those actors are good. But before we get to any of that, before we get to the movie, Marcus, what's going on in your life? Have you tried anything new? We could go right to the movie because honestly, I have so much fucking to say. But what's up, dude?
You know, it's so funny. I had it earlier, what I was trying new, but I've been playing. Shout out to Cult of the Lamb. It is one of the best games I've ever played and definitely top 5 games of 2022 for me.
Ooh, amazing.
It's incredible. What about you, Nick? Anything
I found out today because I'm at 98.2% in Slay the Spire on my phone.
What does that mean, 98.2%?
All the achievements. I have one achievement left, I think.
Okay. Is it not
have
playing
to.
the game for like 3 years or something?
No, I wouldn't win ever. I realized I had 285 hours in the game on my phone.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
It's a perfect train game. One
is a
run is
perfect
on the
train game.
train, and I'll watch stuff while I'm playing too. So it's not
Yeah.
like, but yeah, that's Slay the Spire is where it's at, guys. If you
Hell
haven't played
yeah.
Slay the Spire,
Hell
I think it's just my favorite game. I like other games more,
Yeah.
but the replayability on Slay the
That's
Spire is
fine.
I can't stop.
100%.
I can't stop.
I'm
Can't
like,
stop, won't stop.
I'm addicted to Cold Land, man. It might be a future challenge. I don't know, but it is like I wish I had more time to play. But when I do play, that like hour that I get is like, ooh, it's relaxing, it's satisfying. It
Yeah, I'm
satisfies a lot
looking at
of
this
little.
game now. This looks like? This looks like Townville with Animal Farm and
It's
Cult.
Hades meets Animal Crossing, but with cults.
Okay.
Yeah.
The gameplay looks something like Hades. You don't mean gameplay, you mean story?
It's roguelike. No, I mean gameplay wise. It is roguelike game like Hades. You go into the world, you fight enemies, you get different weapons each run.
Would the better comparison be Binding of Isaac? It kind of looks like that.
It is directly inspired by Binding of Isaac, but less people know that one. So I just picked a more popular roguelike game because it is.
Marcus, you don't have to dumb down your video game knowledge to me. I'm a fucking pro out here. I'm fucking giving out here 285 hours to Slay the Spire.
Hades is also an accurate thing. It's just stylistically, it looks more like Binding of Isaac, but gameplay is also sort of like. Because Binding of Isaac is more of a shooter, like a roguelike shooter. And this one, you are slicing and dicing like Hades.
With a sheep?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You get a sword, you run around, you fight things. It's fun.
All right, if I ever get to challenge, I'll play it. But for now, it's a game I will never ever play because I'm too busy playing Slay the Spire.
Fair
Marcus, I feel like I usually have more preamble. I feel like I usually have more to say, but I don't. Can we just get to this fucking movie?
Let's get to this fucking
guys. Subscribe with your Twitch, your Amazon Prime on Twitch. You rate and review the podcast on Spotify and iTunes and all that. Go to patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. Whatever.
Yeah.
Marcus, where did you? Usually I ask you why you gave me this. Where did you find it? How did you? This isn't, you don't partake in this culture. You don't partake in their cinema. As far as I know, you've never mentioned a Bollywood or Tollywood movie. I know you watch foreign films. I know you're a cinephile, but where did this come from?
I watch foreign films on 2 cases. I watch foreign film. No, I watch a lot of foreign films, but like usually three cases. 1, it's popular and everyone's talking about it, so it's like, okay, it's gonna win an award of some kind, so I should watch it. 2, it's a horror movie. I watch a lot of foreign horror movies, and they aren't always great, but they're interesting to see what scares other cultures. That's always just an interesting thing. And the 3rd one is kung fu / fighting action movies. A lot of times I'll watch those. Like The Raid Redemption was incredible. There's another one that I really want to watch where it's like, I forgot, it comes at night or something like that. I forgot what it was, but it's on my list. I want to watch that one too. There's like some interesting stuff going on in other countries for action movies. And so this one, I actually want to give credit to TikTok for, because I just saw someone watching the trailer and being like, what the hell is this? And I saw the trailer and it just sparked something in my brain. The little boy that was watching wrestling growing up as a kid just was like, oh, okay, this is an itch that I didn't really know that something could even scratch right now. And I was like, I have to watch this movie. And so it came out, I watched it, and I was like, this piece of cinema is so masterfully crafted that it is one of my favorite movies of all time now, and definitely in my top 100 movies. And I need Nick to watch this movie. He might not like it, but it'll be fun to talk about.
So my experience with foreign movies is probably similar to yours. I like a good kung fu movie. I like a good anime movie, but I just don't have time to watch movies like I used to at all. I used to even go to the theaters to watch. Like I was deep. I went to the theaters to see the new up and coming indie movies. But now I have like 6 jobs and a girlfriend. And before I had neither of those. So it was way easier for me to watch stuff. But I've never the visage of Bollywood, Tollywood, Southern Asian movies are so they come out so much. They all kind of have the same like pastiche like fonts and styles, and just it
Sure.
just always seemed like something that's like I don't really know. I'll watch the special effects guys reacts to Bollywood sometimes,
Yeah.
and it looks ridiculous and silly in a jestful fun way, but
Sure.
I ain't got
Yeah.
time for it. Marcus, I can't. I do it every time, but I can't do it. Marcus, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie,
an early
is
win for
so
me. Dubs all day.
I was laying down. Listen, I don't think it's a perfect movie. We'll talk about it, but
For
like
sure,
as I
I
was
don't
laying
think so
there,
either.
and the beginning I think isn't great because it's fragmented in a way that I was, and it was also my first experience to the genre, so I also know it's me, right? But like the beginning of the movie, I was like,
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I
Sure,
don't
sure, sure.
understand.
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
and I
Same,
didn't understand
same.
until
Took me a minute.
until I didn't understand this movie until 40 minutes in when the title card came up. That would be the equivalent of 40 minutes in the movie. The screen went Avengers Endgame. 40 minutes in.
Which you
and
can't
said,
even imagine for anything. We would never do that over here.
And I said, and I sat right up and I said, I gotta pay attention to this movie. And it was just one of the wildest rides ever. I feel so bad because I don't know if I can ever watch more Tollywood movies because I'm like, it's never gonna be better than this. It doesn't get better than this. This was amazing because it hit every theme that I love.
Everything.
That I can't. Oh, Marcus,
it was like it had so much stuff in it, right? Like it had like a romance, it had a bromance, it had like just musical numbers, it had action sequences, it had
that were better
choreographed
than most of what we get over here.
Just hell yeah! The fight choreography was amazing. I haven't seen that well done in a minute.
Yeah, same. I was reading a couple reviews and articles and stuff, and I think one of them said something that I think was poignant enough, where Tollywood movies have all this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Crazy CGI, action, musical numbers, but it usually feels disjointed, tropey. It's like kind of a mess. But in this movie, which I felt and I saw that this reviewer said, everything felt story driven. Like when the musical numbers came up, I wasn't like, what is this? I was like, exactly. When one of these crazy action, when the animals all come into the governor's place, I was like, exactly. I was like, this. Lexi said something that was very poignant when we were watching this. And she spent over a year in India teaching. So she knows a little bit of Hindi and she knows about this culture way more than I ever would. And as I was asking stuff, like, oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And she said, in these kind of movies, everything that you think is going to happen is going to happen. And I thought that was a slight. I thought that was like a slight and a bad thing. And I was like, oh, okay. But by the end of the movie, I was like, that's a good thing.
Yeah. 100%.
It gave me exactly what I wanted every single time, and I'm thrilled about it.
Which is great because a lot of movies, I feel like, sometimes hold themselves back a little bit, right? Like we as Americans have so much media, an embarrassment of riches in terms of media that is like specifically catered to us. And a lot of times, especially let's take superhero movies, for example, right? Because those are like the closest things we have to this. Superhero movies, they don't give us the fun all the time.
Yeah.
You know? It's like they're trying to be drama, but they don't even know how to do proper drama. They're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, but they forget that like we're watching this because inside of us all are little kids that like to watch like superheroes fight or cool things happen on screen. And so a lot of times I feel like they don't necessarily cater to that aspect of that, you know, or let them see where things could go if they took it up a notch. And this movie took it up a notch every 5 minutes, and I loved it.
That's very true. I think that's very true of every movie, superhero movie that's not Marvel. I think the only problem Marvel has is they've just made such a formula that we're used to it, and they're not making big enough swings. But I think if you take the Marvel movie at its core, it is the closest thing we got because it's like trying to be like a comic book where like even when that drama is happening, it's still with the fun characters we love. You know what I mean?
I feel like
but this
in films, you have like you study film in school, right? And there's always these old white people that are like, you have to watch this film, and this is the classic. You have to. What's that movie about this sled?
The Graduate. Oh,
What's it?
Rosemary's
The Graduate.
Baby.
Not Rosemary's Baby. The
Rosebud.
Rosebud. The Rosebud movie.
That's Rosemary's Baby, isn't it?
I feel like that's where's
No,
Rosebud
that's a horror
from?
movie.
Yeah,
Rosebud's from
Rosebud.
the sled. It's
movie. Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane. Everyone's like, you gotta watch Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
All this shit.
Vertigo.
All the same movies.
Yeah.
RRR deserves its place in the conversation. Maybe not for like if you're trying to make a super dramatic movie, but I think RRR, if you are someone who is trying to make action movies, I think you have to watch this. Same way that you would watch Die Hard, same way that you would watch any of these other classics to really like get what should be done. I think RRR is in there.
But also, and don't worry, guys, right after that, we're going to tell you what RRR is. But also, Old Man Ram asked, are you guys keeping score for which pieces of media converted were liked by the other?
No.
We would like to. We should.
We should do that.
As a conversation we should have on our website. But anyway, no, you know what? We don't, because we want you to have the fun of trying to keep track by yourselves at home. Now, Marcus, I think that yes to everything you said, but also this movie has something to say.
Oh,
like,
yeah, it does.
At the end of the day,
yeah.
like the themes and the things that this movie is hitting, the reason they're so epic is because they're real and
that's true.
honest and important. And like, I will go through them. And I was reading some articles that were trying to like downplay and say the movie is like problematic for different things. But I don't know if I know enough about the culture. All I know is, British people suck, and they came to India and fuck shit up. And in Marcus, I got to watch a movie where the brown people are the heroes, and the white people are getting slaughtered by the 100 because they're the bad guy. Every movie in America, every terrorist movie, spy movie, it's always dark people that are getting Call of Duty, video game, always the dark guys and the white guys saviors. Or it's in a dark community and it's Matt Damon coming to the wall to help us all, right? Like, this movie is unequivocally just, I'm going to show this movie to my children and be like, look, it's people like us fighting against the white man. And that's important. You're not even important.
But you're like, the brown also. When they fight the whites, they're fighting for all of us.
Dude, it's so nice to see a guy who's the lead in a movie that has like curly, messy hair like me. Like my hair looks like Bheem.
I was gonna say, Bheem and you kind of look a little bit alike.
That's what I'm saying, and he was so cool. Okay, so guys, RRR is an Indian Telugu language epic action drama directed by S.S. Rajamouli, and Prasad, who wrote the film with him, starring Ramarao Jr. and Ram Charan as the two main characters. And this movie revolves around two, and I'm going to screw this up a little bit, I'm sorry, but it follows two folklore, real legendary people in Indian history that fought for freedom in the 1920s. Yes. And the director said he thought that these two folkloric figures shared a lot in common, and what would it be like if they were friends? That is what this movie, it is a historical fiction. It's a lot of fiction. But there are historical elements, like this thing was hard. They aren't historical figures yet, but one day.
But in the movie, the remake, I get.
But the groundwork of what this kind of thing, people taking away from their tribes, people having to be colonized by the British, people, Indians having to fight Indians, choosing sides. This whole thing happened. That's all real, and you feel that. And there's this undercurrent of that in this movie, and it was amazing.
It was great. Yeah, and also on top of all that stuff, it's based on folklore heroes, but also they mixed in some mythology as well, because there's some Indian mythology that they're kind of based on, which also I feel like lends to some of the more extreme elements where it feels like you're watching a folklore. We have these stories. We have Paul Bunyan. We have all fucking American
Paul
folklore
Bunyan.
heroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
John
Same
Henry,
shit.
right?
Yeah. So it's really cool to see that aspect of things in the film too.
Yeah, and then by the end of the movie, when they like were really like trying to personify like the gods that they were like emulating, it was very cool. So, but also just a little backman of the movie. This is the most expensive Indian movie ever made.
Yes.
It is one of the highest grossing ever made, and it was held back because of the pandemic. So it only came out recently because they were holding it, and correctly so, because this movie is amazing, and it's one of the only Indian movies that have been certified fresh. Also,
oh wow,
which
it was
is really
also
cool.
the highest. I'm gonna get this wrong, but for like 10 weeks for like the longest amount of time, it was in the top highest watched things on Netflix in terms of foreign films. Foreign films.
Yeah, that's the stick is also right.
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed RRR American remake. Get out of here, Fooly Cooley, with your trying to Americanize everything. You're the problem, Fooly Cooley.
If there's an American remake of this, it would be made by conservatives. The main character would be an allegory for Jesus Christ, and the main revolution event would be like the insurrection. And the guy's name would be like Jesse Crust or something like that. And he would be put on the cross.
Absolutely
that's what the shitty American version of this movie would be.
Never. So Marcus, I think we can either go plot by plot or theme by theme. What way would you like to do it?
I think we could mix it up. I think let's start with the plot because there's a lot going on in this film, and I definitely want to like at least.
It's
touch
3 hours.
It's a 3-hour long movie. Now, time wise, did you feel the 3 hours? How
not even. I was like, give me more. Everything went so. There were so many sequences where it's like it's not a perfect film. It's not.
No, it jumps
like
a lot.
that's why I love it, because of its like imperfections, which is I think a testament to a good movie. There are sections that are like speeded up. There are sections that are like montaged. And like time is funny in this movie. like I see this guy and then he has a beard in the next scene, and then he shaves the beard, and then the next scene he has a beard again, and I'm like, what is the time? Months went by, or I have no idea what's happening. But because of that, the pacing of the film was always going. It never stopped.
It felt like a fast movie. I feel like there's so many movies I sit down, I'm watching, I'm like, please be over. And I look, and the movie is an hour and a half long. And this movie was twice that and felt like it was an hour and a half long.
Especially with prestige TV show. Like I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now, and I love it. It's Lexi's new favorite TV show. She's obsessed with it. We're about to finish the 7th season, going into the 8th. Cross your fingers she doesn't hate me.
I was gonna say.
But I love it. It's great. It's one of the best television shows ever made. There are some long ass fucking time. And I'm just like, hurry up. Get to
the fact that you're binge watching Game of Thrones is crazy to me. Like I can barely watch one episode at a time. Like
it's better when you binge it. It's easier. It's better. Yeah, Fully Cooley, just time for the new show to come out. We're definitely gonna catch right up to it. I'm very excited about it. But this movie, just like you just said, it's not perfectly paced, because there are movies that I think are like masterpieces, right?
Sure.
Like
yeah.
Like I can tell like the director like went down for a year or two just like mapping out every frame and everything.
Yes.
That this movie is not that. There are like mistakes. There are like sequences that are like sped up a little too weird and wait, where are we now? What's going on? Or flashback? Is this a flashback? Is this a flash forward? Who is this? Is this the mom? Is this the dog?
You're
What's going on?
If they added another hour to this, could have cleaned all that up.
That's what I wouldn't have been mad. Is my point. I wouldn't. I'm agreeing with you. Like I wouldn't have been mad if they cleaned that up and added more to the movie. It was so good. Why was it so good, Marcus?
I'd watch every minute of these two guys hanging out.
Marcus, I don't know if I'm going to watch a lot more Tollywood movies. I don't know. Yeah. Because I don't know if they're ever going to compare to this.
Sure.
But do I want to see more movies with Rama Rao Jr. and Ram Charan as best friends?
Yeah.
Being saviors of the world? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about just that, because both of their charisma and stamina and personality and ability to act and dance and do action and give me drama and humor and hijinks and passion between each other and their families and their goals.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
It was beautiful.
The relationship between these two men is so fun to watch because it has its ups and downs. It has the like, oh, they're fighting with one another. There's tension. For those listening who haven't watched RRR, one of them is a cop who works for the British colonizers in helping keeping the Indian people in line. And
specifically against the British Raj, which is when they came over.
Yes,
that's what it's
and
called.
the other one is a tribal Indian member, and he is a part of the revolutionaries who were trying to kill what's the guy's name? Scott? That was
governor.
The governor Scott. That was a little weird.
Dude, that was the guy that was the Punisher in those direct to DVD Punisher movies.
He's come a long way in a bad way.
Well,
he's gotten old.
I liked him. He was great.
In this film?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Well, I guess we're jumping around. Let's stick on the relationship, but I want to talk about the white people acting for a minute later.
Oh, sure. I thought it was funny and bad. That's why I liked it.
It was bad, but it was like, I guess we'll talk about it now. It was bad because here's my thing. I feel like it's not the first time I've watched a foreign film with white people in it where the acting from them is very bad and the acting from everyone else is very good. So it doesn't feel like they're in the same movie. And I feel like I joke around with Daron where I'm like, we should start a company where we go to foreign countries and we cast hungry, like white foreigner actors that they need for their films to be in these movies, and we can kind of understand the process a little bit better and see if they're actually good actors and then put them in the film, because there are a lot of good actors out there. Because I feel like the argument against me has been, oh, how are you going to pay all these people? Actors are expensive. Good actors are expensive.
Well, apparently you don't have to, because apparently they pay really good.
All the New York City actors, that how many like pretty good actors there are out there that aren't getting TV work.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm one of them.
Exactly. You would be in this film in a heartbeat.
No, I wouldn't. I'm too brown. I'd be confusing.
Okay, if you were white, okay?
If I was white with blonde hair and blue eyes,
would you want to be in the film?
100%.
There you go.
Leave the white people who couldn't make it in America alone. Holy God.
I'm sorry.
Listen, I don't think, I can't defend their acting, right? Like the acting isn't good. But like for me, I there was no point where I was like, oh, I'm so annoyed by this bad acting, because it felt bad because they felt like caricature the same way that American movies with white people put brown people in their films and makes them bad actors in a caricature-y, tropey, almost racist way.
Jet Li in Lethal Weapon 4, I think is a good example.
Yeah, 100%. That stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I just imagined it on the other side. I was just imagining they put bad actors in these roles on purpose. So one, they didn't overcast their counterparts, but also to make fun of white people. Like, look how bad white people are.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective to be like,
that was my takeaway.
That's why shitty actors on purpose to really show how much better India is than these
and they're not
white
shitty, right? Like
no.
I've seen shitty actors.
Sure.
They're not shitty actors. They're not like Brad Pitt. They're not like fucking Anne Hathaway. They're not like the Emma Stone, the crown royalty of our side, Ryan Gosling, whatever, whoever you pick, fucking these white people, right? Fucking Margot Robbie. They're not these people, but I don't think they're bad. But like that's why it felt like that caricature, campy. I want to see blood on the floor.
That is spot on. That was a spot on impersonation of the Queen. That was fantastic.
The governess.
But
yeah, but I agree with you.
You know what? That's my headcanon now. That anytime I see bad acting from white people in a foreign film, it is like propaganda to make white people seem more useless, and which is awesome.
That's what I think,
and I support it. That's great.
Yeah, Fully Cooley says he thought some of the lip sync was off for the white people. That's probably true.
I think,
but it was also
that's what it was too. I think it could have been that they were like they maybe gave it their all on set, and then they were in a booth recording, and so they just a lot of it had less energy.
Yeah, but they also like they were written cartoonishly villainy, right? Like
True.
the main two guys were given like cool, deep, awesome, like speeches and like fucking dramatic monologues and like moments of passion, and like they took the time to have their looks off to the distance to be and then the queen had to go, the governess had to go, I don't see a pool of blood yet. You know, like what are you supposed to do?
I guess so. I'm gonna say that on this point, I like where you're coming from, but I still disagree. And it was a part of the movie that was, I think, sometimes distracting, which I don't think was their intention.
Yeah, fully cool. I'm not ignoring your comment, but we're not at the dance off yet, and there will be a long discussion about
the dance off. Yeah, we need to be there for
a long time. But back to
their friendship.
We were just talking about the main two guys, how good at acting they are, and the friendship they made. Yeah, that's what your point was. Until I interrupted you with the white people.
No, this is a good segue. I liked it. Yeah, it was something I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so
okay, here I see you're struggling. You ready for this, Nick?
Yeah, I'm like,
this movie is what Fast and Furious wishes it was. The family. The family, Nick. It's about family.
Yes.
And this 100%. Movie did it. It did it. It captured the brotherliness. They were like close friends. They let them fall. They let them fight. Fast and Furious, all those fucking actors in that film have their fucking stick shoved way too far up their own butts to really understand what it takes to build the tension, to build the interesting cinema.
No, I agree. I think the Fast and the Furious comparison is great. This is what Fast and Furious is trying to be. That like itch of family and brotherhood and action and fun that Fast and Furious tries to get and never quite gets.
It gets close sometimes. Even with
there's moments of it, but this movie does it the whole time. Never stops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, like, if we go to space, maybe we'll fix it. And I'm like, no, you've lost it.
You know what they should do? Like, I honestly think that, like, just in the same way, you watched the Raid Redemption and the Raid movies.
I watched the first one we did on the podcast.
Yes.
But I did not watch the sequel.
So those two actors that were in there, like, a lot of those people involved in the movie got work in America afterwards because of how, like, popular it was and because of how talented they were. And I'm hoping, I don't think that they need the work in America.
Oh, they don't. Like, they're the two highest paid actors.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. They're making
and they're
money.
Also,
they're fine.
Also, the Ramarao Jr., he's an heir. So in Tollywood and Bollywood, they're very like they made fun of in the Eternals. But that's a true thing, I think, where the like lineage and they like inherit their father's like position of one of the biggest stars. He is okay. He does not need to go.
But still, like those guys from the Raid movies showed up in Star Wars, which you didn't expect. Thank you, Fully Krim, for reminding me.
That one guy from I think the Raid was in John Wick.
Yes.
The Mad Dog guy. The Mad Dog character.
I feel like not in because they need it, but I think it would be fun for my own personal enjoyment if these guys got more work because of how popular this movie was worldwide.
That would be cool.
And
that would
be cool. But I will bring the creator on. Let him make a Fast and Furious spinoff.
Oh my
Why
God.
not have an Indian Fast and the Furious movie?
Director and these two main guys, a Fast and the Furious movie is brilliant. Brilliant. That is Marcus. That is the smartest thing you've ever said. Say it again. Say it. I'm gonna say it again. Give the guy who directed RRR and give the two leads a Fast and the Furious movie.
That'd be fantastic.
They'll ruin. America ruins it.
No. Don't let Americans involved. America just gives the IP. Give the IP. And then we distribute it and all that stuff. They make the whole film over there.
That would be genius. That would never happen.
No.
But that would be genius. I would love that so much. But gosh, you know what's funny is one reason I love them both too much is because they both have like a different approach to the same thing, right? They both so deeply have the personalities, and I think it would do them a disservice if we don't go one by one. So why don't we start with the cop? Why don't we start with Ram Charan, who in the movie plays Sitarama Raju? So we can call him Ram for now. So I will start with him. From that, I think the beginning of this movie is muddled. There's 3 scenes at the beginning before we get to what the point of the story is. We get the kidnapping, then we get the riders behind the wall scene, and then we get the tiger scene. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what movie I'm in. I don't know what's happening.
The roar and the revolt. That's why there's 3.
Damn.
Wow. Right?
Wow.
Just saying.
You just left me speechless. 100%. Wow, maybe the movie is even better than I thought it was. I need to watch it again. Okay, so I think though, what an introduction to a character.
Oh yeah,
When
for
Rom
sure.
is there, and there's these riders behind this police blockade, and then there's one guy who like throws a rock and knocks the king down or whatever, and the governor's like, "We want him." And then Rom just walks out through the crowd, jumps over the thing, and just with like John Wick level,
Yes.
I don't care if I die, no matter what happens, I am gonna finish my goal. And the actor, his intensity,
Oh,
with his look, the
yes.
way he mowed
Yes.
down through the crowd, never stopping. And they gave him a little bit of superhuman-y like abilities,
Yeah.
but they let a lot of that be really raw. Like there was a lot
Yeah.
of guys trying to get to him, but and I know it wasn't real, but it felt like the only reason he pushed through was sure force of will.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it was spectacle. This whole movie is spectacle. Like there's
Yeah.
this moment. He's one man. He has an army around him, and they do not step in to help him whatsoever. He jumps over the fence into the crowd. They jump him, and he does that thing that they do in like movies where all the bad guys jump on top of him, and then he goes, ah! He like breaks out from the crowd. I love it. It was so great. And you're right, the intensity that he had as an actor was beautiful to watch. It was sexy. It was just like machismo and sex appeal oozing off of this guy during this moment. And it is like you see the everything in this one scene. You see his dedication. You see that he's willing to put himself in harm's way. You see that he's willing to go against his own people, right? And it makes you wonder why? How? What happened to lead this man to this dedication to the enemy?
And the movie doesn't tell you for a while. And honestly, I thought it would be a detriment, but the payoff was really good.
Yeah.
To find out what's the word for someone's reason for being opus magnus? What's the Latin for? Not magnum opus.
Not magnum opus.
That's like your best work ever.
Yeah.
That it's your deus ex machina. It's not deus ex machina.
Nope,
it's one of those.
not.
You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
The Latin. Okay, I'll look it
Yeah.
up. But they don't show us what that is until later. And Wiktionary says raison d'être, but that's not what I was looking for.
Raison d'être.
That's French.
That sounds also pretentious. It's either Latin or French, so that makes sense.
Never mind. Okay, so I give up. If you guys know, let me know in the chat. So what was I saying? I don't know. Rom's cool.
Okay, you were talking about how great Rom is. His reason for being, even though they didn't show it later, was really good.
Yeah, so the whole film. So then we realize he wants to be a special officer, and he takes on the plight of trying to find the person that's trying to kill the governor. Is from their point of view what's happening. We find out later that's not true. But he then goes and tries to be a normal person in the city. I think they're in Delhi, but
I think so.
To try to find Bheem is who we find out later is who he's trying to find. But during that, he like makes a friendship. He does all this stuff. And throughout all of this, I had the feeling like there must be a good reason. He seems like such a good person, but they wouldn't tell us. They wouldn't tell us until way later, until it matters. And they show us, they go to a flashback, which I wish I knew it was a flashback right away. It took me a second. Go to a flashback. Go to a flashback. And then it's also because we're reading it and I just don't know which kid was which. And I was like, is that Rom? Is that Rom? Which one's Rom?
It's a little harder to follow.
Yeah. But they show him as a kid with the love of his life and his parents, and they're from a tribe who are it was so cool. They were training how to use guns with wooden guns.
Yes.
And they were like doing it amazingly. And then there was all this speech about like how powerful a gun is and what a bullet's worth was also a theme.
God, the bullet's worth was like a huge part of the movie.
Like, I think some people would see this and think, oh, gun culture, blah, blah, blah. And I think in America, that's what would happen if we tried to make the same movie in America. But in this movie, it didn't feel that way. It felt like it was it was trying to say guns are important for revolution and we need them, but nothing is worth the same as a human life. Is like what it felt like it was trying to say.
Okay.
At least that's what I was taking away. And I love that. And I love the dad, as the village got attacked and the dad was gonna die and his brother died and the mom or the father didn't die, but the mom died and all this stuff. They died later. But he did it was aim, no, load, aim, shoot, and that kept coming back
Yeah.
as kind of like his mantra
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and you found out that all this happened because he is going to be a special officer because he wants to bring back to his tribe, his people, the guns.
Yes. So
And
that way
that's why
they
he
can
has
revolt.
such a
Yeah.
vigor, such a
Mhm.
he can't be stopped.
Yeah, because if he gives up, if he's stopped, then his people can't fight. Is
Yeah.
basically what he thinks in the beginning of the film.
It was
Um,
wild.
And
was
so it's
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking too, because you think that these guys are on opposite sides for the entire
For
first
the-
half up
the
until the
whole
intermission.
movie, yeah.
Because at the
Yeah.
intermission, right before the intermission, is when they have their big fight at the party and Beam is captured.
Yeah.
And then it goes to intermission.
Did we get the flashback before or after the intermission?
after intermission?
It was after. So it was it was all that
Yeah.
time when we didn't know.
Whole like hour and a half of the movie. You don't
Yeah.
know why he's so convicted, right? And you're seeing him fight. I like that's the way they broke it down, because you're seeing him fight and you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's your friend. Stop it.
Yeah, I just sped through it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't get it till after the intermission. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And then after the intermission, you find out why, and you're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
fully cool. I also thought it was a flash forward or like who's these kids? I was so
Exactly,
confused.
yeah.
But then I got it. I got it
Yeah,
after a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the cop character. But before we even introduced to him, we're introduced to like the plot kind of contrivance of
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
the kidnapped sister. So you they
Mhm.
show the colonizers there. They show them in the Indian community, and there's this little Indian girl. She's singing a song. She's doing I don't know if she's doing tattoos
Hand
or
painting?
whatever. Hand painting. And then they're like, oh yes, they give her some gold or a coin, and then they take her. And it's funny. It's not funny. Haha. It's funny, interesting. It's they're like given the gold, and the Indian people are like, oh, it's a tip for your work.
Yeah.
And they don't know because there's a language barrier, but then they just take the sister, and they're like, no, you can't take her. And they just hit this woman in the head with the stick. And I was like, and then it cuts as soon as it hits her in the head, and to show her on the floor bleeding out, then the movie cuts and just jumps to the cop character. And you're like, what a way to start the movie.
I was
Super
like, what is
intense.
this movie?
High stakes.
And also for none of those, for the first scene, for none of the characters to be our main character. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, well, it was weird. But it ended up, I think, really working because then
Yeah.
you saw, that knowing how the sister got taken, I think
Mhm.
was important.
And
for later.
also the I feel like a lot of times American cinema will dominate the conversation and try to make movies like this from the perspective of people being colonized and people being like oppressed. And it's interesting to see it from the actual people being oppressed. Like, you don't necessarily
Yeah.
always get to see that.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because there's a lot of things that are like little nuanced things that make a lot of sense. Like, there in this movie, there are a lot of language barrier things that you don't always
Yeah.
see in film, because a lot of films just have everyone speak English
Mhm.
or something. And so the fact that there was that miscommunication of like, oh, they just gave us a tip for what our singing and our surface. No. Actually, they're trying to buy our daughter. Like, that was really interesting to see that heartbreak happen over the miscommunication. Then you have him falling in love with a foreigner, and then they're kind of like
Beam
love
and
story.
Jenny,
Beam
yeah.
and Jenny, yeah. They're kind of like love story thing that they have going on. And that language barrier as well, and how all of that plays into it, I feel like was really interesting to see. And I think if it was made by other people, we wouldn't have understood it as fully as we did.
I agree. And there's only one more thing I want to talk about from what you talked about, and then we can get to Beam, is the fact that I didn't think about it like this, where it was the people that were oppressed are making this movie. Like that's
Yeah,
rare.
yeah.
We don't see that on our side of the ocean too much. And there was a whole air of it. I don't even want to describe it too much because it's something you just kind of have to see. But all the Indian people in this movie, none of them like led with hate, I think is what I want to say. So
Okay.
like usually when you have a movie and it's like a revolution and it's like they all hate the British people, they want them to go. And like the movie, to me, sure, there were moments when they hated what's going on, but like the purview, the perspective of this movie always felt like it was coming from a place of love. Like that
Yeah.
first scene where those people were like trying to talk and get the sister back, it felt like it was from a place of love. Even
Yeah.
all the way later to where Beam is like being tortured, and obviously they're
Mhm.
upset at the white people. It still felt like a place of love for their people, for
Yeah.
Beam. And like that's something like I think that gets lost when
Mhm.
it's like we've watched revolution movies. We've
Yeah,
watched,
yeah.
you know, like even like Les Mis, right? Like
Mhm.
like fucking French Revolution, right? Or whatever. It just always feels like it comes from a place of hate. And like as a person of color that, you know, grew up in a marginalized community and that, you know, feels like revolutions are like always like around the corner because of how
Mhm.
we're treated and mistreated and things
Yeah.
like that. It's just that's so much more accurate. It's not some people do hate, right?
Sure.
And I hate
Well,
people,
it's
but like
understandable.
yeah, 100%. But like I don't want racists to like leave and like for systematic racism to stop because of like I hate people. It's because I love people. It's because I love my brothers and sisters, and it's because I love the people around me. And that's what I felt from this movie. Like
Mhm.
those moments when they were training and like he just wanted to fight, and Beam was talking to like his people about getting the sister back, and
Yeah.
it's just that moment when Raju's Sitha, his love like helped the other people. It never felt like they were hating the British.
Mhm.
It felt like they loved their
Yeah.
people. And
It
that was just
Uh-huh.
beautiful. It
Yeah,
was
it
really
felt like they
cool.
were defending themselves a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which is great. And you put it in a really good way.
And
don't
before
ship-
we get to Beam, I do want to say, Fully Cooley said, we don't ship Beam and Jennifer here. This is a Beam and Raju bromance
Yeah.
household.
Honestly, I did not like the Beam Jennifer stuff. I liked it to
It
an
was okay.
extent, but I
Yeah.
feel like there was a little bit of like the white savior kind of thing in that romance where it was like
It wasn't as much as I
her.
thought it would. It wasn't as much as I
Yeah.
thought it would be. I thought it was gonna be a lot, but she definitely played a back seat, which I really appreciated.
Yes.
I think that the only thing I wish I had was a little bit more of the why, right? Like, but we
Mhm.
didn't have time for it,
Yeah.
which is that wasn't the focus of the movie, which I actually appreciated, but like we needed a little more time. Like, why was Jenny interested in Beam besides like he's different? And why was Beam
Yeah.
interested in Jennifer? She's like, she looks wealthy. Like, I don't know, like I don't know.
I feel like for Beam, they tried to kind of put out there that she's kind and that
Yeah.
she saw because the first
Yeah, that
interaction
did
is
work
that
a
she
little bit, yeah.
defends some Indian people that are being attacked. But even that was like
A
that
little
was
contrived.
weird. Yeah, because it was like they were beating up like this Indian man, and she was like, "Don't do that," and the guy was like, "Okay, I won't do that," and left. And I was like, there was no real
It was
conflict
also
there.
unclear what Jenny was she a sister? Was she a daughter? Why was she there and had all that
Yeah.
influence?
Yeah.
That wasn't ever said. And it like, is no one going to address this? Like, does she not care that they just blew up the governor and the governess? Is she
I know.
related? Like,
I know. Is that your
She doesn't
family
care.
that you just
I
watched
don't
like die? Like what?
They're
what is
bad.
happening?
It was never addressed. It was very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But Beam. How are we introduced to Beam?
Oh man, we are introduced to Beam in one of the coolest, just a straight up amazing pieces
I was confused at the beginning.
of cinema I've seen.
I was still really confused.
This
at the
man
beginning of
is standing there, muscled out, head to toe, shirtless, looking glorious, and
like a
pouring.
fucking
He's covering himself in blood, I'm assuming.
yes.
And then
Mhm.
we see, do we see the
Wolf.
the tiger, or do we
Wolf,
see the
wolf,
wolf?
wolf,
We
wolf,
see the
wolf.
wolf kind of stalking him, and he's
Mhm.
like, okay.
This
And
is
then-
working.
And then I think he sees the tiger. There's a tiger involved.
No, there's a chase. He's
wolf chases
trying to
him?
lure in the wolf. Yeah,
Okay.
he's trying to lure in the wolf. It works. He's being chased by the wolf, and on his way to get to the trap with the wolf, a tiger comes through,
Yes.
throws the wolf aside,
Yeah.
and starts chasing. Oh, fully coolly. Jenny is the niece of the governor. Oh, okay.
Oh,
thanks,
okay.
Fully
That's good. That's good.
What a
Thank
shitty niece
you.
from the governor's point of view.
I feel like a niece is one of those perspectives that like you could be like very close with your uncle or not at all. It makes
That's
sense.
fair. That's fair. So then the tiger started chasing Beam.
Yes. And it's just like a very elaborate, awesome chase sequence involving the tiger. At one point, both the tiger and the wolf are jumping at him, and he just like dodges out of the way perfectly. So they end up attacking each other. And then he leads the tiger to a net. where his friends are waiting to like grab the tiger.
Oh,
But the
so
tiger's too
manly.
strong and breaks the little thing. And so then he has to
So Bheem
hold.
takes it.
He takes it in his hands.
Winter Soldier helicopter style, right?
Yes,
Captain
exactly.
America, Civil War.
Holds these two pieces and then just fucking flexes and stronger than the tiger, drags the tiger back and locks the tiger up
While
again.
getting slashed.
Getting slashed. And then he throws like the tiger escapes and then he throws some like poison thing in his thing.
Some sleep powder.
Yeah, and then something really interesting happens. So I feel like a lot of movies on this side lack. It's like we have the manliness, right? Like I feel like a lot of times we get the manliness, but you forget the heart. And even in this scene, he goes and he like hugs the tiger and he's like, "Thank you for. I'm sorry."
Tigers are sacred.
Yeah, and he's
So
like, "I'm
that was,
sorry,
like, a big
brother."
deal.
And he like embraces the tiger. He thanks him for what he's given, and it was a very touching but also manly as fuck moment.
I think real manliness is this, where it's like you're strong but passionate. You're like flexing
Yes.
and you're like fit
Yes.
and you're like you can protect it. You're the protector, but also like you have such heart. Like these are men. Like this is one of the manliest movies I've ever seen.
Oh,
and not
100%.
because of the muscles or the punching or the fire.
Yeah.
Because these men are passionate and have
Yes.
heart
And they
care about their family.
and they
Yes.
Yes.
And they love.
And they
And they love Marcus.
hard. They love
They
as hard as they
hard.
punch, and that's what's important.
That's manliness. When you love as hard as you punch.
That's what I want on a shirt. I love as hard as I punch.
I love as hard as I punch. I love it. And then we see that Bheem. We later see that Bheem pretends to be a part of the deli people there doing
Yeah,
like
he
an auto
pretends to
body
be
shop
Muslim.
to try to find the sister,
Mhm.
Molly. He's trying to find Molly, and then his journey is finding out where Molly is, and then trying to save her, and then he gets captured,
And
then
in
later
this,
escapes.
he meets
Raju.
Raju, and then that's how they just like form
Oh,
a pretty quick
Marcus,
friendship.
Marcus, tell me how they meet. Tell me the scene on the
Okay,
bridge
so
where they
there
meet.
there
Because
is-
that was the moment I was like, I love this movie. I fucking I don't care what's
It
happening.
was
Next.
so
I just love this
cool.
movie.
Basically, what happens is there's this little boy like in the river, and a truck explodes on the bridge, and they have to. The little boy's in danger. He's surrounded by fire, and
And he's like, help, help, and all the people doing nothing.
No one's doing anything. And then you see Raju at the top of the bridge, and he's waving to the people down below, like, "Hey, I need someone to help." And Bheem stands there and looks up and sees him and waves back. And then they start
Lock eyes.
pointing
We got
to
it.
each other. They like pointing, signaling to one another. And then they got it. They fucking got it immediately. He runs out. He grabs a little motorcycle. He goes to the bridge. He meets up with Raju. And then even more hand signs.
Takes a horse.
No, they're on the same page. That link that they have, the link of the bond of manliness. And then they fucking jump on opposite sides of the bridge. He wraps himself in the flag, grabs the kid, throws the kid into safety. He fucking lands.
Makes the flag wet to throw it to Bheem so he can cover himself.
So well thought out. So well thought out. From from a choreography perspective too, of being like, oh, the flag would burn up, so like it should be wet.
It was all thought out, beat by beat. And the effects looked great. I think it was a miniature. It looked like a miniature to me. The train
probably
exploding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of. I feel like I think it's a miniature. You know, because you have to film it at a different camera speed.
Yes. I do like when they use miniatures. I feel like you can tell sometimes,
it's a lost
but
art.
a lot of times it does work really well.
Yeah, and then Bheem does not return that motorcycle, and he goes out and rides motorcycle with Raju.
You're right. He did steal that motorcycle.
Yeah, I said it to Lexi. I was like, "That's not his motorcycle."
I mean, it's his now.
It is his now. And then we got a montage. Then there was a montage about how they became. Oh, some of the train was a miniature and some CGI. I watched something about it, but it was web.
Oh, cool! Thank you.
Validation.
Yeah, then we just get a thing of them being like super best friends.
and a
it's pretty
song
good.
that was beautiful. And the song was like, two people meet, they don't know they're enemies, but they're best friends, and they're really manly.
Hell yeah.
Dude, it was basically the
Hell yeah.
song, and it was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Like fucking Beam, and what a payoff for later. Fucking Beam is doing squats with Raju on his thing.
God,
They're
I love
holding
that.
hands, running through fields.
Who would have known that was gonna come back?
I didn't.
The
And it was
squat
glorious.
thing.
The
I
s-
love
how-
it.
It was fucking
Oh
glorious.
my god, Nick, you mentioned Les Mis. You mentioned other revolutionary movies,
I only mentioned the one, but
and
yes.
let's see how good your knowledge is
I feel like really bad.
regarding revolutions and films.
Oh, the clip.
Now try this trivia. Now try this trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia this.
Boom, and we're back. Sorry.
I am a revolution. All I know is in the South Park movie where they sing the song. This day.
Revolution songs
Revolution
are
takes it
good
in
as
their
fuck.
hands. So let's tell. Remember the one French kid that?
Revolution.
South Park, the movie?
I feel like we could like rock a fucking revolution banger. Like it's just always deep. It's proud. You got some good drums all the time. Every revolution has
Fully
good
Coolly
drums.
just gave you the best byline for your game. How many revolutions could there be in the world, let alone movies of them? Marcus, what's your game?
My game is called Revolution Revolt Internet.
Oh. It's not your strongest title, but I'll accept.
Wow. Darren was sitting here in the chair laughing and saying, I'm hilarious to herself about the title. And I love that. So you know what? I'm going to stand by her and say this was a great title.
Okay.
Okay, Nick, I'm going to read you.
It's no Games X Games.
I'm going to read you movie reviews, and you're going to tell me which revolution movie they were for.
Okay, hopefully it'll come back to me because I really only remember South Park and Les Mis. Is Tale of Two Cities Revolution? I don't fucking know.
I
Go
don't
ahead,
think
go ahead.
so. Maybe.
Then what's the
I
Tale
mean,
of
one
Two
of them was
Cities about?
Paris, right? And the Paris had the revolution. Okay. Anyway, quite boring and unbelievably bad song. I do not know if my expectations were too high, being myself a musician, but I sort of think that what a musical is all about is singing. Acting is important. Costumes can be nice, and it does not hurt if the takes are nice too. If one can tolerate the insufferable singing, I admit that the rest is excellent. The acting is superb, the takes breathtaking, the costumes and sets fantastic, and the emotions overwhelming. Nick, what was the movie they're talking about?
Is this a fucking fake out?
And bonus points if you get the score that they gave it.
Les Mis is fucking so like obviously that's but would you just make that? You didn't know I would bring up Les Mis.
Full sentences.
You did.
You know, I could just you know.
This is great podcast content, Marcus.
Okay.
I think that you wouldn't have known Les Mis would be the one that I know. So it makes me, but me knowing it makes me want to say I gotta go Les Mis. We'll start easy.
Perfect.
Maybe it'll get harder. This is totally
Yeah.
Les Mis. It has to be Les Mis.
Yeah, they kept saying takes in the review. I think they meant shots. I think that's what they meant. But they're the ones who left a professional review. So who am
Les
I?
Mis?
It is Les Mis. Nick, could
Okay.
you guess the score they gave Les Mis?
What website is this? What's my score?
It's out of 10.
It's out of 10. What is this? What website is this from?
IMDb.
IMDb. Okay, out of 10. 3.
Very close. It was a 5.
That's not close at all.
So you
You
got a
don't
point.
fucking patronize me. I'm
It's
2
close.
whole fucking points
It
away.
was 2.
I don't get the point. The important thing is I don't get the point,
2.
Marcus. The
Okay,
important
okay.
thing is I don't get the
Okay,
point.
you don't get the point. I'm sorry. That's on you.
Whatever.
Okay. Next one. Couldn't be more relevant now.
I want to yell at Lexi to get me water so badly, but I don't want to be rude. So hopefully she's watching and she hears this comment.
Send a special message to Lexi if you're watching. Your man Nick needs some water desperately, please. He's a thirsty
manliness,
boy.
all this
Please.
manliness. Oh, she said in the chat. Okay.
Please send him some water. He's
All
a
this talk of
thirsty baby.
manliness is making me thirsty. All right, Marcus, what is the start a revolution for the water? Marcus,
Okay.
what is the second review?
Couldn't be more relevant now in 2018. You want to see where the nationalist movement around the world is leading us? think it can't happen here? Watch this and despair or grow a pair.
Thank you.
Mic drop. It's saying it could be more relevant now in 2018.
Yeah, that means that's when the movie came out.
Okay, sure. That's what that means.
That's gotta be what that means.
That's not how I would take it, but maybe.
Am I wrong?
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Fully Cooley said it sounds like a review he would write, just really bad. Oh, Marcus, I don't even. Oh gosh, I don't know any other Revolution movies.
Wow.
Like Civil
There are
War is not
plenty of
Revolution. I know
revolutionary
Civil War
movies.
movies. What?
Maybe there's space revolution movies. Maybe there's like
Star Wars. This is Star Wars.
action
I guess it's Star
revolutionary
Wars. This
movies.
is Star Wars. I
I mean,
guess
you
it's
said
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars because I said space revolutionary movies. I probably wouldn't give you that big of a hint for this one, but maybe I did. Maybe I slipped up.
Movies about revolutions and not war, specifically revolutions, right?
Well, their war can be a result of revolutions.
100%, but not like there's none of this is Civil War because that's not a
None of this is
revolution.
civil war.
Okay,
I like how you are telling me.
sorry, it meant to be asking of a clarification, but I'm mad I don't know the answer, so I'm
Civil war isn't a revolution. It's not one of these. It's about the Civil War.
I don't even have a guess, Marcus.
Oh my god, you're gonna be mad.
I'm gonna be mad.
gonna be big mad.
Avengers Endgame
What revolution happened in Avengers Endgame?
for humanity.
Okay. It was V for Vendetta.
Oh, that does have a revolution. But I was only thinking about revolutions that like historical revolution. Not the revolution we suspect to have in the next 50
Got
years.
it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
You want to
Yeah.
guess what they gave the movie? The review ended with "Watch this and despair or grow a pair." So what did they give
10.
this film?
10 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10.
Oh, someone said Independence Day. That's a good guess. Wait, is that a revolution? 10
Yeah,
you're very
against the
close.
aliens.
Very close. It was 9 out of 10. Almost a perfect score. That's a
I don't
lot of
think you
points.
can say that kind of comment and not give the movie a 10 out of 10.
I know. Okay. Overlong, blurred, historical mishmash. Veers between Camelot fairy magic and a Monty Python sketch. Wallace was 19 when he began fighting the English. Why is he played here by a 40-plus-year-old man?
What the fuck is this game? What are you talking about? What?
Someone said dead giveaway. I try not to make it hard for Nick.
Monty Python?
You could have bleeped out the big hints. He's not. Look at him.
No, he could
Look
not.
at him. He's not getting it.
I don't know. British. What revolutions are in Great England? I don't know a single revolution that ever happened in England. They were white and they were always white.
It said the character's name. I knew that.
You said Wallace.
Wallace.
Who the fuck is Wallace? I don't know a Wallace. Do you know a Wallace?
I love how Fully Cooley
Wallace.
Crib in the chat's like, oh, you gave him the biggest hint ever. It's-
Wally.
Darren, good job with this game.
Wallace. Wally? Is it a Pixar movie?
It was
Is that a
Wally.
real-
You got it. It was Wally.
Wait, really?
No.
Oh.
Who in a review for Wally refers to Wally as Wallace? Oh man.
The chat is mad at me. Oh gosh, Marcus, I don't want to sit here all day. I have no
Okay.
idea. Should I know this?
You should know it. Chat, do you want to guess? I'll give points to the chat.
In England, Wallace. It's serious and funny. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Veers
It's
between
not a good
Camelot
review.
fairy magic and a Monty Python sketch. Actually, there it is. Fully Cooley Crim. Got it. It's Braveheart.
This isn't a Mel Gibson home. We do not forgive him for using the N word.
I'm just saying, he's a terrible person. He's a terrible person.
I've never seen Braveheart. Guys, if you want to rectify that, join the Patreon and let me
Mel
watch
Gibson
it.
was in 2 revolutionary movies. He was in Braveheart and he was Patriot.
Oh, sure.
Nick, do you want to
I've
guess
never seen either one of those movies.
what they
He gave it a
Braveheart?
4.
Give it a 1 out of 10.
That's rude. It's like one of the most famous movies.
Doesn't mean he liked it.
I've never seen it. Where's Wallace? Is there a character named Wallace that I should have known?
In The Patriot?
No, in the Braveheart.
It's the titular guy.
His name is the guy with the painted face that says the big
It's
speech.
based
His
on real
name
life.
is Wallace.
You didn't pick his name. You
Marcus,
don't get to pick
I
your
wouldn't-
name.
I wouldn't follow a man named Wallace. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. William Wallace.
Oh, now that sounds familiar when you say the whole name like that. That sounds like
Mhm.
vaguely. I feel like I should. All right, fine,
Okay.
whatever.
Heavily unrealistic movie. The story is average. The stunts and other action scenes are lame. There are no logical reasoning as to why these people have such great powers. Are they superhumans or demigods? Overrated action sequences.
RRR.
You got it. It's
Yeah!
RRR.
Thank goodness.
What do you think they gave RRR?
A 2.
A 5 out of 10. And in this
that was
instance,
a shitty-
RRR
such a
stands
shitty
for Racist Review by Robert. Only reason you wouldn't like this movie.
I'm okay saying that. If you didn't like this movie, you're racist. I have no problem saying. That's the hill I'll die on.
That's the what?
That's my tagline. RRR, so good, only racists hate it.
There you go. Okay. Great effects plus no story.
Wait, hold
equal
on.
boring.
RRR. If you didn't like this movie, you probably like Braveheart because it's got white people.
Yeah. The people watch this movie are like, oh, Braveheart was the better version of this film. God, that's terrible. I love anything that starts off with a math equation. Like, people use it so much as though it adds some level of intellect to your review.
Oh, does
It
this start with a math
doesn't.
equation? Let me hear
Great
it.
effects plus no story equals boring. I hate that. I hate that so much. The movie had great effects and camera angles. Definitely not a movie for anyone who suffers from nightmares. Extremely thin and disjointed plot for a sci-fi flick. It reminds me of late 60s and early 70s stream of consciousness movies. It probably would help to be stoned on something before entering the theater. All this combined made for a way too long and way too boring evening out. But it will do fine for the what you see is what you get crowd. Leave your IQ at home. I mean, you could tell they have a big IQ because they said a math equation in the beginning too. So very intelligent.
Gosh, I also once again have no idea. I'm inclined to say Star Wars, but the fact that it said like 60s and 70s movies when Star Wars came out seems like a dumb.
Do you want me to help you?
This new Star Wars movie is just like movies from the 60s and 70s, and it's like, yeah, it is.
It was Star Wars.
It was Star Wars?
No. I'm not telling you.
Oh yeah,
what
it was Star Wars.
Is your guess Star Wars?
I would love a hint. Yes.
Okay. It's a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Edge of
that
Tomorrow
came out after the 70s.
I hate you so much. Edge of Tomorrow.
And it is very popular. I'll give you that.
Live, Die, Repeat.
You've definitely watched this movie.
Live, Die, Repeat. Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow.
I'll give you
Live,
one
Die,
more
Repeat.
final guess.
Those were two guesses.
It was neither of those. Guess one more time.
It was neither of those same movie with different titles?
Yeah.
Sci-fi movie where revolution happens. Great effects. Not a good Prometheus? No. There's no revolution in that. Alien Covenant? No. There's no revolution
Alien
in that.
versus Predator. You nailed it.
I feel like I don't know any sci-fi movies.
That's fair. Are you ready
The
for
Shining.
the answer?
It's The Shining.
Are you ready for the answer, Nick?
I'm usually so good at these games that I'm so mad. I
You're
don't
doing
know.
badly, but it's
I'm
also
doing
understandable.
so bad.
These reviews are kind of hard. It's The Matrix.
I guess it's a revolution.
They're revolting against the machines. That's the whole movie.
Yeah, but
They're losing against the machines, and they need Neo. I'm sorry.
They do say revolution a lot in that movie.
100%.
I just rewatched them recently with Lexa because she'd never seen them. So
Isn't like the game called Matrix Revolutions or something like that?
no, the third movie
okay.
is.
It's in the title. Okay.
It's Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolution.
Yeah, there you go. Ah, that's funny. Okay.
Damn it. Okay, what's next? Give me the next
Grateful
one.
for the captions.
How many more are there?
There's 2 more.
Okay.
Grateful for the captions, the pause button, and Wikipedia. I started watching this out of curiosity, and to say I have seen it being the cultural touchstone that it is, the sentence structure is wrong. At first, I was a little detached, not liking the songs too much, and thinking I would probably just skip through to the end of the movie. I couldn't stop watching and it really sucked me in. I have to say, I'm not sure I would have enjoyed it at all live in the theater. I benefited greatly from the captions and the ability to put it on pause to consult Wikipedia from time to time.
It sounds like it could be RRR again.
It could, yeah, that actually does sound like. I didn't know which one this was. I just looked at the answer.
Revolution movie captions. So another foreign
The pause
film,
button and songs.
or at the very songs. At the very least, it has. It's not. They don't speak English for some of it.
I was okay. I'm gonna help you out a little bit more. I'm gonna help you out a little bit more.
Okay,
They don't
please do.
speak English. Remember, a majority of people who write these reviews, white men.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't mean that
So?
they didn't speak English necessarily. Just means that they had a hard time. All they said is that they had a hard time understanding because of the captions.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's an interesting guess. That's an interesting guess. Are you ready for the
It
answer?
sounds like that wasn't the right answer.
It was
though.
not the right answer. No. Do you want the right answer?
Yes. Just give it to me.
Hamilton.
I hate everything. I hate this game.
Your
I hate you.
face.
I hate Daron.
Your face.
I hate these people.
Oh, I love it.
Fucking-
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
The
it.
kind of people that are like, oh, Hamilton, I needed to put the captions on to get it. I'm just like, you're not supposed. That's not how you fucking rapping is important. I'm just so mad at racist people.
They gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to guess, but I'll give you the point.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Oh, thanks. 8 out of 10 doesn't make up for your fucking like microaggressions.
It's fair. That is what that was, a microaggression for sure. Simplistic good versus evil. The good are all good and appealing, self-sacrificing, never hurt anyone but the evil ones. Good soldiers. The evil are all evil. Kill indiscriminately, have no morals, and we rejoice when any of them, even their soldier minions, die. Specialness, like a almost religion connection to blank, is inherited. Kind of like royalty. There is no ambiguity, no subtlety, no moral complexity, but just a kid's movie. So, what does it matter? Makes warfare seem fun.
Star Wars.
You got it, baby! Star Wars. And what did they give Star Wars?
My fourth time giving a answer was Star Wars. I had to get one of them. Oh, I don't know.
They called it a kids movie. They said it makes warfare seem fun.
I want to say 7, but I'll say 6.
They gave it a 3 out of 10.
It could have been way meaner.
Fair, 100%. Okay,
3 is
and
three
that
is
was
a
the
bad
game.
movie.
Nick, you did pretty badly. I'm not gonna hide it. Sorry.
Let's roll the tape back
Uh-huh.
for all the times I have destroyed your games and all the times you have been a little baby loser for mine. Okay.
Whoa, Nick, I think that the lesson from this movie that we are reviewing currently is probably that you need to keep that shit in check and our friendship will triumph over all. And we need to be there for one another, okay? Ultimate
All right, fine.
wingman status for life.
According to those rules, you would have gave me an easy game.
That's fair. I gave you a free point.
I appreciate the free point. No, good game. Ah, man, that was tough. Revolution just means so many things, and when
for
you
sure.
watch a movie like this,
You don't think
that's
about it that
this
way.
revolution.
Yeah.
All I can think about is this revolution we just saw.
Mhm.
Speaking of revolution, can we talk about when the big sequence happened before the intermission as Beam went to save
Oh
Molly?
yeah, that was great.
Because that was cool.
Yeah.
That was real cool.
Yeah, so basically Beam goes to save Molly at a party and he fucking just right before this happens, we have the Raju. He has been bitten by a poisonous snake because he captured Beam's brother and
Yeah.
it was a whole thing. Now he is sort of like almost dying. Beam saves him, but he's like, "Hey man, I have to go do something. I am the revolutionary you were looking for." And also,
Well,
side
he
note-
still doesn't know Raju is Raju.
Yeah, he
Raju.
doesn't know,
still
but
doesn't-
he's telling.
So he's just telling. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. He's like, I basically telling him that he is a revolutionary, all this stuff. And it was amazing because I feel like in that scene, he was pouring his heart out, but you couldn't have Raju say or do anything. 'Cause he was
Anything,
just like
yeah.
stuck there.
It felt so contrived, but like it worked. It really worked because like
it's like it felt like the one bed in a hotel room in a rom-com where it's like oh, there's only one bed. It was like, okay, yeah, obviously you're going to be paralyzed, so you can't do anything right now. So he can tell you all this information. And then they go to the revolution. He goes in there, Nick. The craziest entrance I've ever seen to a battle. He goes in there with a truckload full of animals. Fucking Tokyo drifts to the front. All the animals come pouring out of the car, of the truck, and
just tearing everybody apart.
Tear up all of the people. And you know what? I like the little touches because the animals don't immediately go out and start killing everybody. The animals go to attack Bheem and he fights them off with fire. And then they're like, this isn't worth it. Look at all this fresh meat. And then they go out.
He literally like he goes to attack him and like throws them off and he throws them on someone else.
Yes,
It's
one
very
of them
funny.
for sure. Yeah. So then you have all these animals let loose. Bheem is fighting. He's trying to save the girl. And then you have fucking Raju show up and is like,
Ugh.
I have to take you out.
In
buddy."
full, he shaved his beard. He's got a mustache. He's back. Wait, he shaved, didn't he?
I don't think he shaved for this part because I just watched it like 5 seconds ago again. And I feel like
he didn't. His beard took a journey.
After
Listen,
this,
the actor
moment,
was so
once-
attractive with his beard.
Yeah, he
and
was.
so not attractive with his mustache. But
Yeah,
the
100%.
mustache was menacing.
Wait, what? Not attracted to the mustache? He was so hot with the mustache.
No,
He was hot with both. My dude was
looked
hot
like-
all day long.
No, he looked hot
You
with
could not
the
temper
beard.
it.
That mustache just made him look evil to me. It made him look
Nah,
like
he
the
was
bad
sexy.
guy.
It was sexy,
All right,
man.
well, whatever.
I love both.
And
It
then
was
they
great.
and then they fight. My favorite part though is as they were fighting, all the British soldiers were behind them doing stuff. If you just pay attention to the British soldiers, all they're doing is running in circles around them as
Yeah.
they fight. They're
Yeah.
not doing anything. They're not fighting any tigers because you can't pay for that many CGI. They're just like running and running and running, and it's really bad.
CGI is expensive.
Yeah,
That-
if you're not paying attention, it totally works.
No.
But like if you just take 2 seconds to look in the background, you're like,
That looks terrible.
they're not.
Which I'm fine
it's
with.
like worse. It's worse than like fighting things when you're like when you're fighting 20 guys and the other guys are just like doing this. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
my
yeah,
turn.
Yeah.
it
No,
was like
you're right.
kind
That
of thing.
didn't make any sense.
But it was funny.
It was fun.
was
It
good.
was an intense sequence. It was great, like emotional moment. You have these two guys you've been watching bond this whole film finally come to a head and have to fight one another.
And he stops him.
And he stops him. Raju stops
stops him.
Bheem and arrests
Becomes a
him.
special officer. Yeah,
After being Wolverine stabbed in the heart, by the way. That was incredible.
That was cool. That was so cool.
These guys are immortal. Like you're watching them fight and you're like, the stuff that they're going through, and everyone would have been dead already. Like 10,000 times over.
And I think the only two other big sequences to talk about are the whipping and the save out of jail long sequence.
And
But
the dance.
you stole my thunder. But before we can get to that,
Okay.
we need to go to the best scene of the movie, which was the dance battle.
Oh,
so
man.
so
Ooh.
so Beam somehow gets an invitation to the party from Jenny, and he's like, Wingman, please come with me. And he's like, yeah, I'll come with you. So Raju and Beam go to this party looking all awesome. Jenny wants to dance, and then there's racist white people there. And and it's so dumb. He knocks him over, he makes him fall. He's like, you don't know real dance, tango, flamenco.
Oh,
And all
God,
I'm
I hated
thinking
that
is
so
all I'm
much.
thinking is none of those are your people's dances.
No, 100%.
None of them.
And there's those kinds of people that were like, oh, I've gathered all this like cultural information that you'll never have, and let me rub it in your face because you're poor. Like, what do you been? He was like literally like, oh, get these browns out of here at some point. Like, what the
He
fuck?
literally did.
He's crazy.
And then Beam's like, oh no, I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to do because
Mhm.
he's like not from the city too.
Yeah.
So he's like extra out of place.
Yes.
But then Raju comes up and is like, well, you've never heard of whatever the name of the dance was.
The Delhi
they were like-
knock or something like that.
I don't know. I'll look it up in a second. But then he starts drumming himself a beat. And immediately Beam knows what's going on. The drummer knows what's going on. The drummer takes over and they go into a full 5-minute music video
Yes. Oh,
singing
God.
and dancing this song.
It was
and it
amazing.
Is amazing. It was so well
good.
done. The singing was so cool. The dancing was so high octane, and
Yeah.
It's one of the best sequences I've ever seen in a movie.
It was incredible. It's just so funny because like you're watching it and the choreography, it's so good. It keeps cutting and they're dancing and they're moving, and it is sped up in the same way that the fights are kind of sped up and slowed down kind of randomly, but it works
Yeah.
really well. And you see them just like impressing everybody, and they're
Desi Notch?
great dancers.
Desi Notch?
That's what I was trying to say. Desi Notch.
Yeah.
Okay. I said Deli Nach. It was close enough. But they're just like dancing and having fun with it. The women get involved and start dancing too. And then it's like a little dance competition. So you get to see the friendly competition that they have with one another. It's just an incredible sequence that I think that no amount of describing will ever do any justice. Like you just need to go out there and watch it.
And
At
not even
least.
just the sequence. You have to watch the movie up to that point because
Sure.
the
Yeah.
context of it
payoff.
is what makes it so cool.
Yeah.
Like their
Yeah.
friendship and the rivalry happening underneath it that neither
Yeah.
of them know that they're a part of. And then like the association with like the British people looking down on them and
Yes.
not thinking they're worthy. And like it was so cool.
Yeah.
And they were like, and we're gonna spend 5 minutes doing it.
It's just
And
a
I
good
know-
amount of time on the dance.
Yeah, and I know that singing and dancing musical numbers is a big part of Bollywood, Tollywood movies,
Yeah.
Indian movies. But again, I think it's like that reviewer said, this felt like it was in service of the story. This
Yes.
felt like it belonged. This felt
Mhm.
like it was time for this to happen for
Yeah.
lots of reasons. Because this is the moment when it's like they are best friends that have
Yes.
each other's back. They love each other, and they, in another world would have been, something different. But
Yeah.
they are who they are.
Yeah, and they're being themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're being themselves unapologetically. And that's all they want the freedom to do. Like you kind of said earlier, where it's like they're not fighting out of hate. They just want the freedom to be themselves.
It's amazing. And I'm just so impressed with, again, these main two actors because they're singing, they're
Mhm.
dancing, they're doing the action. And like, they're not just like, La La Land is a great movie. And I like Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. But when they're dancing in that movie, they're like, I can see that someone like taught them the moves and then they went and did
Yeah,
them and
yeah,
they
yeah.
did them passably and it's fine.
Yeah.
There's so many musicals like that, and even like great musicals I feel like don't have the level of dance that
No.
I feel, because I just felt personality. It just felt like
Yes.
they were supposed to be doing that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
This feels like
Because there's a
old-school
cultural
musicals.
aspect too, right?
Yeah, this feels like old school musicals when you watch like Fred Astaire come out and do a fucking like number, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like that's fucking, that guy knows what the fuck he's doing, and he's dancing because
Yeah.
he's good at it. It felt like
Exactly.
that.
And also felt manly.
Oh, it felt so fucking manly.
It
and
was
cool.
some of the manliest dancing I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life.
I mean, there was high stakes too in the scene because when he comes out there and he's just dancing at the other guy, he's like, "Do you know flamenco?" and starts dancing and shaking his
Yeah.
butt. I'm like, "Oh shit, man! Like, dude, like I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'd be embarrassed and cry and run away." And his friend came through. They stood their ground, danced.
If
it
someone
out.
put you to the ground, I would dance in their face for you, Marcus.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear. I hope that we have this bromance. The whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, you know what? I hope that Nick and I are at this point. And if we're not there now, like I hope that we get there.
You know what's funny is I don't think we have a lot of opportunities to show it off. But the one or two times like in our lives we have had the opportunity to show off we're like this in sync and like this in love. I think we have. Like the opportunities don't come a lot, but like when they
Sure.
do, we show up and we're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, we're like a pair and we're
Uh-huh.
better than you together.
Good. I'm glad we have that. That's all I want. Yeah.
And someday we'll go to a party and dance like this.
Mhm.
Like this when they were dancing so hard and then they just stop
Yeah.
and then just do their heads with their foot. And I'm just like,
Yeah. We need
you
more
guys are
group.
kings.
You and I need to work on group dance choreography. Like just
Okay.
work on some moves together.
Name the time.
Hell
Name
yeah.
the time, name the
Hell yeah.
place.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
we both will have a wedding someday. I'm sure there'll be a chance
That's
to
true.
dance there.
That's true. We need to figure something out.
Organized
Choreograph
dancing is-
something. I'm learning a
just saw-
choreographed dance for an India wedding that I'm going to.
Oh my god, I was just gonna say Lexi's best friend's sister-in-law got married, and that was an Indian wedding, and she told me she hated how all the practice she had to do for the dance because she's
Well,
not that kind of person. But
There you
it's a
go.
lot that goes into it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
So
I'm excited to see
I'm gonna
that.
be like one of those white guys you see in the video dancing at an Indian wedding. I'm gonna be so tall and
Oh,
so great.
My
That's
goodness.
all I'm hoping. For.
I don't want to be here forever, so I
Sure.
think let's
Yes,
just
you're
cut
right, me
straight
neither.
to the whipping scene was really, really cool because
because you love
whipping's
whipping.
awful. Yeah, no, because up until that moment, I knew Beam was like a fierce warrior. I knew that he was a funny guy. I knew he
Mhm.
had a lot of heart. Like I liked Beam so much, but in this scene, when he had the resolve to like withstand the torture
Uh-huh.
and sing a song through it,
Yeah, it was
was like that was the
incredible.
moment Bean and the character and the actor Rao Jr. I was like, you're amazing. I
Yeah.
felt it in my
Mhm.
heart. It was really cool.
Yeah. It was an incredibly powerful scene. And so much of this movie is cheesy, is over the top, could have come out so much worse than it actually did.
It should have.
And it should have been, but they have those heights of silliness, heights of action, and they match it with heights of emotion. And that's what
Yeah.
really makes this whole thing work. Because this could have been a dumb, stupid movie that is silly and you forget about.
I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's what when we started. I was like, okay, this is the dumb thing Marcus made me watch.
Mhm. But it's not.
It's so much heart.
Powerful. That moment where he's being whipped and like stands against him, you feel it. You feel the urge to revolt. You're like, fuck, I don't want to watch
Yeah.
this. Let's do something about this.
And the people do, and the people push
And they
back.
do. Yeah.
You know, and it was really cool to see. I love that scene. And then we see. I really liked. Again, it might have been contrived. It was contrived, but when Beam finally saved Molly, and they're about to be found out, and Sita helps them
Yeah.
without knowing there's a connection, and then she just starts talking about her love, and Beam's face when he sees the connection, and then he hears the story about who Raju really
Mhm.
is. It's
Yeah.
just fucking power, man.
Very
It's
powerful.
it should have been contrived and dumb and like, okay, now we're gonna finally, he almost killed him, but now he's gonna,
Yeah.
that's how I would have felt in any other movie, but I didn't hear, because I was like, yes, tell him why Raju did it, tell him why his best friend betrayed him, tell him.
Yeah, and it's so
I was crying.
sad too, because you see Beam and he's like, I was an idiot. I was such an idiot. And it's like, no, Beam, it wasn't your fault. Like, why would you even think that he was a revolutionary? He was whipping you in public. Like, chill, dude. Don't blame yourself. It's okay.
And then we get a 20-minute action scene where Beam saves Raju,
Oh,
and doesn't
man.
just save Raju. Then they decide, you know what? Fuck this. We're gonna kill the governor and get those guns
Hell
for you,
yeah.
Raju.
Oh my god! And
they
also,
just
they make a tower of power. Like they go because Raju's legs are broken, so he goes on top
Yeah.
of Beam, and they're just a whole sequence of them fighting on top of one another, and
it should be silly.
beautiful. Should
It
have
should
been
be
silly.
like Shaolin soccer and like Kung Fu
Yes.
Hustle levels of silly, but it wasn't. It
Yeah.
was cool and real and
Yeah.
awesome.
It's silly for a moment, and then it becomes awesome, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. And it teeters in that line of being like so surreal
Mhm.
that it's dumb,
Yeah.
but like it grounds it. Like there's
Yes.
moments where Beam really feels like he's holding him and like really trying to run, and it's like kind of difficult, and like they're
Yeah.
swinging around, and there's like a little bit of ground in there, and then it'll get
Yes.
like surreal, but then there'll be a
Sure,
little
sure.
bit more groundedness to like make sure it feels good.
Yeah.
And then they get to the forest, and then magically Raju is like fixed now.
Oh, of course. There was
and
a lot of
finds
that.
and finds a quiver filled with 1,000,000 arrows.
Mhm. You don't
But
need to
it
count
was
your arrows.
badass.
You don't need to count your arrows. It's boring. No
but,
one wants to
but it was
watch that.
badass. I feel like there was culturally a reason. Yeah, we did watch this on Netflix. So we watched the Hindi version,
Mhm.
unfortunately. I wish we could have watched it in the native. But I think there's a piece of culture we're missing where I feel like Raju kind of becomes the embodiment of the god that he takes the arrows
Yes,
from,
yes,
and
yes.
has the long
That's
hair.
the mythology thing I was talking about earlier. That this is the moment where
Yeah.
they both really like take on those roles.
Those prolific,
Yeah.
like ancient warrior. I feel like maybe the equivalent will be like their version of maybe like an Achilles or like some ancient warrior. Maybe that's the vibe I got, but it could be an actual god. But I also know over there you can't impersonate gods too much. Like I don't know. I don't know what was going on. I would love for someone to tell me, please. Add Now Try This Cast. Let us know.
I think it's
like,
just
culturally,
like
what
you
we're
said,
missing
it's just like a mythological story that they
Yeah.
like have these beings and people.
Yeah, but I feel like there's something
Yeah.
we're missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
for
I
sure.
felt in a good way. And then they mowed down all the people, got to the governor's place, and just like fucking
Hell yeah.
crazy shit.
Yep. And
happens.
then credits roll and one big magical musical number highlighting all the revolutionaries before it ended.
a 5-minute music video at the end, and
Uh-huh.
it was so cool. And all those people were showing up, and I was like,
Yeah.
Lexi, who are those? And she's like, those are like real life revolutionaries. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, cool. Like, I know that there's probably a part of this movie that's like too nationalistic of
Sure.
like India, like, because I'm sure the Indian government isn't perfect, and I'm sure like it would be the equivalent
But
of watching like
Yeah.
an American Revolution movie, and it's like, hey, America. I'm sure there's an
Yeah.
equivalency there somewhere, but from the outside, I'm like,
I'm in.
wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
clear bad guys
You
and clear
respect
good guys.
how you got your independence, you fuckers. Let's fucking do this.
This
You
feels
did
like
it.
Americans making a movie about World War II. Like classic America was good, Nazi Germany was bad. You
Yeah.
know, and just like clear lines, no nuance whatsoever. It was like, these are the clear bad guys, these are the clear good guys. And it worked.
And maybe that really is what is happening there. I
Mhm.
just don't know. I don't know enough of the history, but it felt good. I love the singing and dancing at the end. And apparently the girl that played Sita is also like she's like one of the most paid Indian actresses too. She
Oh,
didn't get a
really?
lot of screen time. Yeah. I
She
was
didn't get a
looking.
lot of
She's
screen time in this. No.
she's her name's Alia Bhatt, and it says she's one of India's highest paid actresses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good for everybody.
She was in the
involved.
Forbes Asia 30 under 30.
Amazing.
She's 29. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, apparently, and she's the daughter of a filmmaker and an actress of the Bhatt family. I mean, she made her child debut in 1999 when she was 6. This is interesting. I would love to learn more about all
dive
these
into
people.
it. I would
Oh,
watch.
is there
more
going to be a
movies with them.
documentary? I want to watch a documentary about RRR. Like, that's what I want. I want like the things
That
I
would be
missed.
cool. Like,
That
there's
would
a
be so cool.
Blu-ray release of RRR with subtitles of like director's commentary. I would watch the shit out of that.
I just want to watch the Blu-ray. I want to watch this in 4K. I watched it on Netflix. Netflix compresses their shit.
That's
Like, I
true.
want to watch. I want to fucking watch. Oh my God, it's so cool. But that was most of the sequences. That
Mhm.
was most of the fucking bromance. I
Yeah.
do need to talk about the bromance again because I thought for a second that there was like this is like a lot of bromance, but apparently culturally that's how it is. Lexi was telling me that she knew of or heard stories of people who are homosexual living in it, which is very much frowned upon, where it's not that hard for them to hide because guys do like hold hands and hug and are all over each other's. So
Interesting.
like, so culturally, I feel like my gaze, my cisgendered American gaze was on it a little bit that shouldn't have been. And I feel bad about that. But also I wanted to
that's
point
weird.
it out because
I loved it. I was like, man, this is dope.
no, I also loved it,
Yeah.
but like my feeling of like, wow, I love how kind of gay this is. It's not gay. It's in their. I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up because it's like a weird like. Is that me? Is that
I
like?
think that's you, but also like American, like cisgendered media. Sure.
Yeah.
Focused on like men can't be close, and men being close to this movie seemed odd to you, not in a negative way, but it was just like
it didn't seem odd. I was embracing it. Like I like. Oh well, yeah. I guess odd. So I never see it. And since I saw it, I was like, oh great, they like love each other. Oh, do they love each other? And then Lexi's like, no. I was like, oh, so they just love each other. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's all. It's honestly, it's just a testament how good they did. I felt the love. I was like,
100%.
wow, they love it. If they married, I would not think twice about it.
No, they had a great bromance that could have easily become a romance.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. They loved each other, and it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it was really cool. Marcus, is there anything else you want to talk about in this movie? I mean, there's so much, but we're getting late here.
But we did it. This is one of the few times that we didn't spend as long as the piece of media that we watched talking about the piece of media. So we did good.
Yeah, and we also got right into it. There's just so much.
Okay, Nick.
We could
I got some questions for you then.
I would love to answer these questions you have for me.
Nick, first question. Did you like the movie?
I love this movie. I thought it was fucking fantastic. 10 out of 10. I texted Joseph and I was like, yo, you watch RRR yet? And he's like, no, I also haven't watched Everything Everywhere at Once, Silent Voice. I'm behind. And I was like, stop. Don't watch anything else. Watch RRR first.
Fair enough.
It's important.
Fair
you need
enough.
to watch RRR right now. I loved it. It's one of my new favorite movies.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I'll need to revisit it because it could be the pastiche of newness. But
I watched
as
it
of night
again for this podcast. And it was great the second time also. And I had just watched it. Like
I watched the dance sequences right before we went on because I was like, I just want to watch them again.
Yeah. It's good. It holds up. I would say like in a few years I'd watch it again and probably still love it.
I really want to see if I can try to find it in its native tongue though.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
In Telugu.
Like once it comes out on Blu-ray and stuff
Well,
like that.
apparently it's hard to like with distribution. Like you usually don't get a distribution of Telugu movies. I was reading.
Sure. But with the internet
Like-
and access to
like they would be- oh, sure.
most things, you can probably find it.
I'm sure I can find a bootleg.
Would you recommend it?
Everybody should watch this. Anybody
Yeah.
that's like too manly, anyone that like loves romance, anyone that loves action, anyone that loves good movies, anyone that loves like historical dramas, anyone that like fucking brown people need to watch this, white people need to watch this, black people need to watch. Everybody needs to watch this movie. This is fantastic.
A movie for everyone. That's good.
Yeah.
Would you watch another film by this group of people? They got together
100%.
and decided to make another movie.
100%.
Yeah, nice.
100%. In a heartbeat. In a
Nice.
heartbeat.
This is a guy. This is someone to follow. I want to see what they make next too. I want to see what these actors do, and if they make another big budget movie like this, I'd be into watching it.
Yeah. Same.
Nice. Okay, Nick.
Oh, 3 of the director's films are among the top 5 highest grossing films in India to date.
Ooh.
The other 2 are called Bahubali, the beginning, and Bahubali 2,
Mhm.
the conclusion.
Interesting.
They don't have these 2 starring in it though, so I don't know if I'm interested. I'm sure they're good. I would love to
I'm
see
only
them.
gonna watch movies with these 2 actors going forward.
I do want to watch more with them. They're so good.
Okay, Nick, next week we are not recording because we will be away.
Mhm.
And then the week after that, I will be away in Canada. So we will not be
Mhm.
recording. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do a stream or something like that. Just a pop-up, play a game or something instead. I don't know.
Okay.
But we're gonna take a couple weeks off, and then we'll be back in September with the Patreon fan challenge, which is up right now. So you can go over to patreon.com/nowtrythiscast, join the Patreon, and let us know what you want to watch. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, the poll's up already. Who knows? So go check it out. Go to the website, check it out, see where we're at, and we want to hear from you guys.
And you can submit now, and if you miss the deadline, you'll just be on the next month. So it's
100%.
no big deal. Jump on there, join the community. Now, patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. There's 2 tiers. Both tiers are great.
Mhm. Yeah. I was gonna pitch this idea maybe at some point, but like I was thinking that maybe if people show up to a Patreon episode once a month and they wanted to give a subscription and donate $5 on Twitch itself, maybe we take those as well. We'll see how people feel about that idea.
Oh, sure.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I would love it if there's better integration. I don't know. We
Yeah.
also would love to do more streams and do more content for you guys, but we need to know you're there and we need your help to financially justify it. So join the
That's true.
Patreon. Follow us on twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast.
Mhm.
Use your Prime subs or your real money, whatever you like, to give us a follow. At Now Try This Cast on all socials to let us know how you're feeling, what's going on, and leave us 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify.
Hell yeah, guys! Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys rock. Fucking everyone in the chat, you rock. We appreciate all the input. We love seeing you guys. We love you all. Thank you for listening. Remember to go out there and try some things. And good night.
Good night.
Boop, boop, boop.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Me coming back for more and more and more. Yeah, sorry. I